baseball world. Welcome back to the Beatball Blues Show. Be a little bit quieter this week because it is just me, Neil DAWG. Bam Bam and his family obligations prevented him from being here with us. But we do have a great show I've had in mind for quite a while. I think will be a special show. Before we dive into it, I want to let everybody know that our next episode will not be the Sunday after the conclusion of the World Series. We're going to hold it off until Wednesday of that week, just to give time people get home, get out of beat baseball for a little while, and gather all our facts on the tournament before we do launch the episode. So there will be a little bit of a delay before the next episode. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the Lone Star Roadrunners, the Long Island Bombers, the Wichita Falcons, and the U.S. Legends, because those are the only teams out of the 19 teams that will be participating in the World Series that we have not featured yet on the show. I apologize for that, but we will be coming around after the World Series, and I promise that we will reach out to all of you. And that is it. Good luck to all of you. And for this last episode, going into the World Series, got a very special guest, someone that's been around forever and has made a big announcement recently. I'd like to bring on to the show Mr. Set Ready Ball Kevin Sibson. Welcome, man.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this, man.
I appreciate it. Actually, doing something like this is certainly in your wheelhouse. You've done a lot of play-by-play type stuff over the years, and I don't know, you've always brought a lot of personality to the game. So you're kind of a natural fit for doing stuff like this. But I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy life to do it. You know, before we dive into beatball, I want to ask you. Because doing this show has gotten me closer to stuff like editing and production and stuff like that. You guys participated in the Bolingbrook tournament not too long ago, which you guys were the champion team, the team that won that title. And there was a video put together on the whole trip, the big long van ride going there, and the tournament itself, and afterwards. And I believe, am I correct in thinking your daughter put that all together?
That's correct. And it's amazing what you can do just on an iPhone. See, so
yeah, it's crazy, right?
None of that was, all of that, 100% of it was done on an iPhone. And she took a ton of video and then pieced it all together, edited it, put some music, put some text on it. Such a simple thing, but it was a really cool thing to have. It's, a memory of, the entire beatball trip from the time we got in the van, right, driving through all those cities all the way to Chicago. And it's a grind, it's 40 hours of driving for 4 games, basically. So you got to love beatball to do that.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter, I tell you what, she absolutely loves beatball. And she did a fantastic job of putting together that video.
No, even for myself as a total, where I couldn't see all the action, it was enjoyable for me to listen to, just because there was a lot of dialogue in there. You know what I mean? It just,
right.
She did a really good job of piecing it all together. So I wanted to bring that up. Props
awesome, man. I'll tell her, I'll pass it along to her, Neil.
But also, like, on you, because, there's been a lot of streaming that goes on with our sport, since we haven't found our way onto a network yet. All our games and practice games, all that stuff gets streamed through groups like Beatball Central and Beatball Nation. And your team did a game. You guys played the Blackhawks not too long ago in a little exhibition game, but you were holding the camera yourself, right, while you were pitching and doing stuff?
That's partially true. So I had a strap, and I was gonna use a GoPro, but my GoPro is so dated that it wouldn't stream live, right? So you need like a brand new version of it, or at least one that's within
more
the last 2 years. Right. Mine is, we've had ours for a while.
Right.
So actually, we ended up with like an armband strap, and we modified it. I fit it around my chest, Neil, so the camera was like right on my
Facing
chest.
where you
That's
were
right,
looking.
facing the batter. It was kind of rough, and it kept turning off. Kind of, it was imperfect
Yeah.
because like I was watching it myself, and Loopy was the last hitter, and he swung when I didn't, so his timing was a little bit off. I was actually trying to take him to right field, and he he swung just a hair early, so it was going to head right towards my face. So as I panicked to get out of the way, the power button, it cut off the video. But
Oh, that would have
that
been
was,
great.
yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. I've always wanted to do that.
While you were doing it, I mean, you were doing a little bit of play-by-play, but also I noticed you were doing like instructing. Was that by plan, like going into it? Were you guys thinking of making like an instructional video of some sort,
Well,
or?
yeah, kind of, Neil. I mean, I just, I just, I think Frank Mathena did a much better job of passing along knowledge. Now if somebody asks me, I'll always tell them, but I think Frank Mathena did a much better job than I did about document documenting some of the nuances of pitch and beat
Yeah,
ball.
I remember
Uh,
the video he did like 30 years ago.
that's right. Yeah, it's still on YouTube, and it's not that hard to find. You got to find Graham's channel first, and then but it's still on there. I guess yeah, we should probably link that if it's possible,
Sure.
because that's, even though it's dated, it has such great information, about how to hold the ball, why it's important to get good rotation on the ball, why it's important to take care of the beat ball, that you're not killing them all the time. I mean, they cost a gazillion dollars a ball, and they
Yeah,
could,
yeah,
they could last one hit or half the day. You never know. So,
right.
and take care of those things.
Something that stood out to me in that video years ago as a young player that I loved, because beat baseball is very competitive, but not always so much from the sighted people involved as much as the players. You know what I mean? The players like really, really want it because we don't get a lot of opportunity for team competition really,
Right.
and
Okay.
I remember Frank in that video. He just like was so serious. And he's like, man, when that batter is at the plate, I own his ass, and I love that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like that's what I want out of a coach. I don't want somebody to be soft with me. If I'm not doing it right, knock me in the head and tell me how to do it right, because that's how we get better. So that stood out to me. That and my other Frank Mathena story that I've liked telling is, I like to describe that he had the mentality of like a linebacker when he was pitching. And I remember one of the first times I played against him when I was playing up front, playing the point, and I ran in and I fielded a ball that was like 39 feet. And I was getting up off the ground, and Frank came up and he pushed me back down. He's like, Neil, I'm like, what? He's like, you ever come inside that 40-foot line again, I'm going to take your ass out. Oh, okay. All right. I'll stay out of your territory, sir. So, I mean, you just don't get a lot of that in our sport. So,
Yeah, no doubt, man. He loved beat ball. So I think there's a handful. I think there are a handful of pitchers that loved it like that. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Right.
He was a
Right.
special dude, though, man. I mean, and he made beat ball cool. You know what I mean? Pitching beat ball. He was geez, I remember watching him when I was like 9 years old. I'd follow him around. It was an interesting friendship because he was, what, 28 at the time ish. So, I mean, and I talk to him to this day, so just established a great relationship for him. But you're absolutely right. He had an intensity. He had a passion for playing ball, and the way he saw it was man, I guess the same way I see it, man. You guys are ball players, you know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
if that's something we could be a part of, it doesn't matter what capacity it is, as long as it's a part of that competition. Frank wanted to do it.
Yeah. So, getting back to the video that you did when you were given the play-by-play and everything, you made a pretty big announcement throughout that this is going to be your last tournament as a pitcher, anyways, and that's after like 35 years of at least tournament experience that I know of. I don't even know if you pitched before '87 at a World Series, but talk about your announcement.
Okay, well, first, yeah, I pitched in. A lot of people don't know it, but I pitched in the Palo Alto World Series in 1986
Okay.
for the. I was a backup pitcher for the Beaumont Beepers. We were just there visiting the World Series, so we could put in a bid to have the World Series in Austin, Texas,
All right.
and so Beaumont picked me up as a backup pitcher, and I got some. I got a little bit of playing time. It was pretty cool.
Oh, awesome.
So let's see. So this will be my last year, Neil. I'm not going to go into why, but I just can't
That's
do
fine.
it anymore. Not like I could.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can,
yeah.
and I'm, so man, this is all I got. You know what I mean? So putting everything into it for this last year to see if we can take the dub, and we'll see how it goes. But and there's a ton of reasons why, but
Yeah, not
I just
yeah, your business is your business. I didn't bring you on to get all personal. And honestly, even if you just wanted to, like after 30 whatever years, you're entitled, man. I wrote this on a post on Facebook, and I meant it. I literally can't think of a player, coach, pitcher, spotter, whatever, that has had that long of a stretch of impact on the field. Like, people have been around the game as long, some longer, whatever, but you have been on a competitive team ever since the beginning. Well, maybe not with the Beaumont team, but you know what I mean? That the stretch with the Blackhawks, and then moving on into the Jets. Like, you might, those teams might not have always been as good as you wanted them to be, but you've never been on a bad team in 30 plus years. I can't think of anybody else really that I could say that about in the game.
well, there are a lot of people, Neil. I mean, and I appreciate that. There are, well, not a lot of people. There are a handful of people. Hibner was here when I got here. Now, he took a little time off in the
That's true.
early '90s, late '80s, but I'm sorry, early '90s to mid '90s. Came
Yeah, yeah.
back, but he was here when I got here. Geez, Mike Woodard has been here since I got here.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Perrys were really close. Chad and Josh, and Chad's still around. Um,
And again,
Walker,
I acknowledge there's a lot that have been around that
right?
have made
Yeah,
long, but I'm talking about like impact on the field. And I'm
yeah,
not taking anything away from any of them, because they've all been part of big, good teams, but
yeah.
not year in and year out. You've ridden this wave at
Yeah,
just
this
every
is what
year.
I've done with my summer since I can remember, since the first World Series that I went to in '85. Yeah, this is what I've done with my summer, and I've been, look, and I like the social aspect of beat ball, but my main goal as a competitor was to win the
Right,
World
right.
Series. I mean,
Yeah,
every time
yeah.
we win, and I appreciate you acknowledging that. I know we had some rough years, but even in the worst years, that we had in 1988, I think we I think we only won 3 or 4 games that year, but we were competitive with you guys. I mean, we played the East Bay Blaze. Oh man, by the way, man, I'm gonna put my camera down so
Oh,
if
good call. You and
I got my
Kevin.
'89 Kimmy Watts jersey on right here. My East Bay
Well,
Blaze.
yeah, well, Kevin, before we started recording, Kevin told me he's wearing an East Bay Blaze jersey that he got from Kimmy Watts, who I think is one of the league's best like power hitters, left-handed power hitters of all time.
Yeah, man, he was fun to watch, dude. Well, unless we were playing him, but yeah,
I I started out with North Bay Nemesis in '87 when the Blackhawks started out, was my first year with the Nemesis, and we played you guys at least once, if not twice. And I remember you in having like an instant impression on my teammates, like, because I'm a rookie, really. I got to go to the Palo Alto World Series in '86 as a spectator for a day, but that's it.
Yeah.
I'm a rookie at this '87 tournament with an experienced team, and I remember them talking like you had like long red hair, if I remember right. I remember them talking about the little Texan pitcher or whatever. But you had an impression on the league right from day one, man.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that game. That was my third World Series game that I had been a starting pitcher, right? So yeah, I remember that. And I remember we had a pretty good sized lead, and then you guys, man, you started getting into it, and we couldn't get the ball around DJ, and it was a 1 or 2 run game. I mean, 17-15 ish, give or take. I still got it on
I'll
video.
take your word for it.
Marge
Bancroft
Bancroft made a video of it, and then we've got it, and I still have it in my. I'm waiting to digitize it, man, get it on the internet. But you see Neil McDonald just scoring run after run on us. I think you had a strikeout or 2, but we never put you out.
I like that. A little 19-year-old with a little bit of speed at the time.
Not bad.
People wouldn't have believed that.
Nah, but your development between that year and 1987 to when you won. I'm sorry, yeah, 87 to when you won the MVP in 2000 was pretty incredible. I mean, you were. I mean, nothing. Not taking away all those other years because you were an effective player every year, but you just had you broke out. You know what I mean? You went from being a 500 hitter with a lot of putouts to a 750 hitter with a lot of putouts, and it was
for
awesome,
the most
man.
part just that one year though. I never had a great stretch offensively. Whatever. I'm not ashamed of my career, but I'm taking better care of myself now than I did through a lot of those like early years. I didn't put the dedication into it that I could have to really go for the results. But it is what it is. Again, I wouldn't trade my career away for anything. I was lucky to have played around all the great players that I did.
Indeed.
Let me ask you: is there a stretch? Because you've been around so long, since the '80s, you've played against just about every great team that ever was, if not against every great team. Is there a favorite stretch or season, favorite tournament that you've had?
Oh, well, yeah. So there are a few of them. The 1994 version of the Austin Blackhawks. That was incredible, man. I mean, that was our most dominant year of all the championships that we've won. That is by far the most dominant year that we had. With Austin, I mean, we were doing really well. I think our closest game was a 19-8 against Phoenix in the pouring down rain. I think everything, and then the Bluff played us tough on day one. Then after that, everything was a run rule, and it wasn't really close after that. It was a really dominant year. I remember specifically watching the Cobras game against West Coast with an injured Neil McDonald, right?
On the sideline with the dislocated shoulder, and it's the closest I ever came to being thrown out of a game.
Indeed. I remember that too. But I remember scouting, and I remember the Cobras just wearing out the first baseline, just wearing it out. And we put Dwayne Sparks, in right field. I was like, hey, coach, this is gonna sound like the Hopkins, of course. So I said, Coach Hopkins, this is gonna sound like the craziest thing you've ever heard, but we ought to put you all down on the first base line against these dudes. And he ended up with 6 putouts. And he gave Dan Green the collar, man. I love that. That was my favorite World Series. In that, we basically had 3 all-tournament offensive players, right? Sal Guzman made it, Lupe Perez made it, and Mike Sparks made it. And then we had nobody on the defensive all-tournament team, but we never gave up very many runs. I think we had one game where we gave up at double digits. So I don't know. That's my most memorable. We had a stretch in '97. Oh man. This is my favorite game. This is my favorite beat ball game. So before we played West Coast in '97, Neil, we played the Cleveland Scrappers. Do you remember this team?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they had Wilbert Turner, and they had Leonard Williams, and they were real good. This is, prior to the Jeff Dale years, and
Yeah,
they
Marty would
Simon,
have been with them back then, right?
Marty was there, Simon was there. Oh, Willie Rue, William Ruiz was there. Anyway, we were playing them, and we were having one of those games where we were just on fire, Neil, and we couldn't be stopped, and we were hitting the ball too far for Wilbert, and Leonard was being moved around on the infield. They had a coach. His name was Coy, and they kept moving Leonard to where they thought we were going to hit the ball next. So I just simply look and wait until they'd set him up, and then go the oppo, warm out. And this is one of my favorite moments of beat ball. But they were, so I would like take a look, and then I would aim for my target at the batter, and then I would look back to see where they, to see if Leonard was moving, and because they were trying to do that,
Right.
when I turn my back.
Oh, I got you.
And so
Yeah.
I'd sit there, and I before I threw the pitch, I'd make sure he was still. And Coy was like telling Leonard, "Hey, move over here." And then Leonard pretty much stopped the game. He goes, "Don't you get it, man? If you move me here, they hit it there. And if you move me there, they hit it here." And I mean, kind of like, kind of got goosebumps, Neil. And I was like, you know what? He's right. And that was so we had a couple of dominant stretches where look, man, we didn't have the best athletes. I mean, we had good athletes, but we didn't have the best athletes. That was, you guys had the best athletes. Wichita, right? They had the Sonics. Sure. They had good athletes. Bayou City, and then Fort Worth probably had better athletes too. And we just got it done. You know what I mean? Our defense improved. We had a team synergy that was, I don't know, man. It was just a whole team thing, and it was man, those were awesome times, Neil. But there was that stretch, playing with the Jets is sometimes the same, Neil, but the competition is so much more fierce these days, than it was then. I mean, seriously, the defenses these days are orders of magnitude better than they were, back in the 90s. Right. It's, now everybody's got an outfielder that can pick up the ball. And back then, most teams maybe had one.
Yeah. No, I mean, we could name on one hand the great outfilders from that time.
Yeah.
Like
so
Devin Nance,
Yeah, the Bluffs had it, but but even then, Fort Worth, they only had one. Right. They never had that second great outfielder, Yeah. So, I mean, the Bluffs were kind of the first one. West Coast, they did it just a little bit better than that, and they had midfielders and infielders with better range than the Bluffs did. But the Bluffs started that back in 85-ish, they were. Right. So, yeah, you're right. But the game now is, it's a player's game, man. I mean, the players are faster, bigger, stronger,
I mean, but that's the way sports go. Like that's the way every sport goes. So people should trend that way. You know what I mean? As time goes on, we should find better athletes and make them better from the beginning. And keep our sport evolving.
Absolutely, and evolved is what it has. I mean, now it seemed like I don't know. It just seems like it's more of an attraction now for elite athletes to play beat ball. I don't know if that was the same back in the day. You know what I mean? It seemed like all the elite athletes were more interested in Paralympic stuff. Now we seem to get, a higher quality of athlete, playing beat ball.
Let's talk a little bit about you starting up with the Jets, because I've had a few of your players on, Axe and Zach Arambula, D. Smith, my boy. I love that dude. I like all those guys, but I've had them on the show. I've had your brother Wayne on the show, and with all of them, I talked about, I mean, that was a big deal when you parted and went with Axe and Zach and started the Jets. Because you'd been part of what is the NBBA's most successful franchise, and you were a franchise piece of that. So talk about that transition and starting the Jets.
Yeah. So honestly, it was I love beat ball, and I'll do whatever. But it was getting to where, just to practice on Sunday, it was basically a 10-hour day, so round up the guys here in San Antonio, drive to Austin for a 4-hour practice. By the time I got everybody, back home in San Antonio, I just didn't have, a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever that was, with my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was ingredient number one, is I wanted to spend more weekend time, in the summers with my family. But and they were supportive. They wanted to. We're the seventh largest city here in San Antonio. We've got no beat ball team. That's number two. We've got there's enough blind here to support one. So when we won the World Series in 2015, I talked this over with my wife, and I was like, dude, we could do this. We could start a team here in San Antonio and support it. We just have to make that leap of faith. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a big one, and man, that was what was funny, dude. It's like I talked to my mom. I talked to Ken Whittier, my catcher, and I talked to them first, and I've known, of course, Wayne the longest, I talked to him. Wayne was nothing but supportive, man. You know what I mean? Wayne's like, hell yeah, do that. And, and of course, I had mentioned it on multiple occasions to Zach and Axel, and they seemed, receptive. And so I called my mom, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna start a team here in San Antonio, San Antonio." And
is that when all the good feelings stopped?
Well, no, see, I think there was. So she was excited, man. She was really supportive, cool. And then kind of sent a team-wide email and said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start this team, in San Antonio. I'll do whatever I can to help, get whatever pitcher you guys are going to continue with, get them trained up, do whatever I have to do, but I've got to do this. I'm going to do it." And then everybody, kind of replied, and said, "Oh man, we're going to miss you," and all this stuff. And my mom's like, "Hell, I didn't know you were going to pitch for him." It's like, "Mom, you thought I was going to start this team and just go pitch for the world champs, or what? What did you think this is going to look like?" So I think that was, but it didn't take long. I mean, she understood more than anybody. We're just trying to grow. But that was that one thing that we did as a family. You know what I mean? My mom and I, right? The beat ball thing. So
your brother.
I mean, now
that's whole thing.
Yeah, right. So she could always see me. She knows where I'm going to be. I'm going to be at, at a Blackhawks practice. So she want to come hang out for the minute, hang out with the kids. She knows where to find me. Well, now, I'm not coming. I'm going to be pitching for this other team, So, it was tricky to, to leave Austin, man. I've always been a Blackhawk, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, at first, and I told Zach and Axel, when we were trying to put this together, I was like, I'm going to recruit, everybody that I can. I want to start this team with a few veterans, and I want to put us on the map right away. You know what I mean? I want to be, I don't want to be a 10th place team. I want to round up as much talent as we can. And, people came and gave it a look, Neil, but nobody was interested. I was telling Zach and Axel, I was like, "Yo, guys, I don't know what this is going to look like, man. If you guys want to, you know what I mean? But I'm going to do it." I said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this Jets thing, and I don't care what it looks like. I'll do it. I don't care who's in or who's out, but I'm doing it.
I can't imagine they ever consider being out, just as cocky as the two of them are.
So those guys were like, "Nah, man. If they were behind it, 100%. Sure. You know what I mean? That's they were behind it 100%. That's the one thing that's the one reason I don't want to go, is I always saw myself pitching until they retired. You know what I mean, Neil? Yeah. I mean, those two dudes right there, they've always been like super loyal, good friends, and, so that, anyway, so starting the Jets is a pretty interesting deal. We didn't have a beat ball. We didn't have a bat. We didn't have a home plate, but we had a beat ball team and a name. we we selected the Jets. I don't know if anybody knows this, but there was a team in San Antonio called the Jet Sets, and they were around in the '80s. They were pretty tough dudes. And girls, they played in jeans mostly.
What kind of team? What sport?
Beat ball.
Really?
Not kidding, man. So like we played against them in 86, 87, 88, and we even played against them in 1989. But they did local stuff only, Neil. I think they went to the World Series maybe once or so when it was in Texas in 1980. I think they were. Or maybe it was 79. Yeah, so you can find some stuff about them on the internet.
I had no idea you were talking about a beat baseball team.
Yeah, sorry about that. I should have said.
No, you're good.
I assume that. Yeah, so they had so I wanted to keep that name. So that's why we ended up calling it the Jets, and yeah, so everybody was in on it, and it hadn't been so bad. We started out pretty rough. Our first year we tried to play that point defense that we played in. In 2009 with the Blackhawks, but it just, it worked out okay until we got to the World Series, and then it kind of fell apart. It seemed like we could contest every ball, but it was too much work. You know what I mean? It was too far to go for everybody for some of the simple stuff. And then, yeah, so anyway, but it's been a blast. I tell you what, ever since we started it, man, they're a crazy bunch of dudes, man. They're fun, a lot of fun to be around.
Well, I've had fun getting to know them. Axel's become a good friend of mine, and I've spent a good amount of time with David Smith. I love that dude. I enjoy going back and forth with Zach at times. You got a good group over there. Real quick on the name, man, my thought all this time was that it was just like rubbing a little salt in the wound, the Jets, because you took all the speed away from the Blackhawks.
That's funny.
Let's wrap up by talking about the Jets this year, going into the 2021 World Series. It starts when this show's release will be Sunday, but we're recording this on Wednesday, so we're like 6 days from first pitch at the Beat Baseball World Series. And in my mind, the Jets are one of the most intriguing teams. The Indy Thunder, they're coming off four straight championships, and I think most people consider the Jets and the Indy Edge number one and number two as far as the possibilities of knocking off the Thunder. And you guys beat the Thunder, but you didn't get to see them at full strength. But you put a really impressive win over the Indy Edge in the title game of the Bolingbrook tournament. How are you feeling about this team going into the World Series?
So this is the best Jets team that we've had, so as long as we can stay healthy, we've got a puncher's chance, Neil. So this will be our best. Well, here's the other thing, the biggest difference, look, all of the Thunder players they're just really athletic. You know what I mean? I think they've got an advantage over the league in athleticism. You know what I mean? All of them are super fast. Yeah.
And youth.
They're super fast, and they're super strong. They're just super talented. But, the one area that we've closed the gap this year is our spotting has improved so much, Neil. We've struggled. This will be, so we've struggled mightily finding experienced spotters. Well, this year going into the tournament,
it seems to be a position where you've been in transition each year.
Each year it's been tough, man. I mean, everybody shows up, with the best of intentions, and then they find out how hard it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They start, the commitment starts to slide a little bit. This year's different, So I feel really good about our spotting crew. You know what I mean? Going in, and that's been the biggest. There's a lot of difference between Indy and the league, but that was the biggest one. You know what I mean? So we've lost quite a bit, in those games against Indy with spot or disparage. You know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
such a big difference. So we've closed the gap there. I think with the loss of Zach Bueller, I mean, he's such a good outfielder, and I know he was out last year, but so in that in that aspect, of outfield play, we've closed the gap on the Thunder. I think we've got the best midfield in the World Series this year with Axel Cox and Richard Flores. Those two are two outstanding players. So that leaves the infield on defense. Of course, Eric's the best, so there's a big gap between Eric and Zach, but maybe not as much as people think. Zach is not nobody's ever seen Zach play shortstop. And I'm excited about that because Zach has a lot of range. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Zach has speed and quickness and an instinct. And he's pretty clean when it comes to, some of those balls that are in the air that are, as far as tracking them and getting them up quick.
Yeah. Those are
So,
those are harder to track.
That's right. So that leaves the difference between. Now, I'm not sure who's going to be the right field infielder for the Thunder. It's always Miguel Tello. I'd be surprised if it's not him because he's been probably the most clutch infielder in the last 5 years. You know what I mean? I mean, he is absolutely a clutch player, and as a matter of fact, he's one of the few guys that I wouldn't want to hit to when the game's on the line because he's going to make that play, man. He's absolutely clutch.
Yeah, he steps up late in games. Like he makes those big plays in the fifth, sixth inning, which any coach has got to like to see. But honestly, it seems to me, and I don't have any inside information, but I think Corian White may have earned that spot up front, and I think Miguel may be kind of the mid-level player for them.
Yeah, so that's what the case was in Ames, and I think in another game I saw him play Tello play midfield. I'd be surprised at that, but either way, the guy is super talented. Miguel Tello, and so is Corian White.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching Corian over these.
Yeah, he's super really talented. Improved. Yeah, he's just Steve. Yeah, as a matter of fact, dude, I hate that guy, man. That guy killed us when we were in Tulsa. Neil, I don't know if you know it, man. He made probably the best play in NBBA history that I've ever seen. So in the semifinal, we've got our 6-hole hitter at the plate, and he hits one hard to right center, or no, to right. And Corian goes a long way to get a hand on it, right? So he dives out with his left hand, Neil. And, usually when you're going that fast and the ball's going that fast and you meet, the ball's going to bounce off. Dude, that ball stuck to that kid's hand and he beat us up, dude, for the last out of the game. And it was most amazing play I've seen in outfield. It was the best play I've ever seen in beat ball in the most clutch situation. I've seen a lot of amazing
when you put
play.
all the factors in there. Yeah.
But that play was a 9 of 10, but when it happened was man, it was incredible, man. He beat us. I hate that guy. Man, what a great play. So look, so we've made up a lot of ground. You know what I mean? Now there's a lot of ground to be made up because Indy's just really good,
Yeah.
And then so our offense is better than it's been, as far as power hitting and consistent power hitting this year so far. Now we'll see what happens in the World Series. As far as the edge goes, those guys are seriously talented, man. They got a lot of talent. They got a lot of new guys that are big hitters, so they're going to be tough to beat. The Blackhawks are going to be tough to beat. Their defense is still really solid. So, I mean, and Bayou City, they're going to be tough to beat. They always are. I'm going to miss Boston. I wish they were going to be there last year, but they're not going to be around. And then
I think the Titans are going to have an impact out there also.
The Titans have a lot of talent, and I've seen them play. And I tell you what, they're I'm a big fan. I got to play with Coughlin. I guess I've been saying.
Oh yeah, he played with you guys in Chicago, right?
I've been saying his name wrong this whole time, man. My daughter said it's not Coughlin, it's Coughlin.
Yeah, Coughlin. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, what? It's like, how does it? Yeah. So
no, it's hard on blind people too, because computers and like talkie devices say Coughlin also. So, but yeah.
So I've been saying it wrong, but I tell you what, I was super impressed with all aspects of this gentleman's game, man. His mental approach to beat ball, his approach at the plate. He's got power. He can run. He can pick up the ball, and
Yeah,
he
he
can
plays
play
good
multiple.
defense. Yeah.
He can play multiple positions on defense. I was super impressed with this guy, man. It was a pleasure playing with him, man. I got to pitch to a pretty good left-handed hitter, man. It was a lot of fun. But they've got. I've always been a kind of a I've always kind of had a closet man crush on the Titans, man. I like watching them play, man.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, so
They're cool dudes too. Like
they are indeed.
we've had them on the show, and like they're a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Look forward to having them.
Nesto's always nice to me, man. Always. So all those dudes are really cool. Randy George, I know that dude. Yeah, man. They're all good dudes.
Going back to your Jets team, because we were talking about who we thought would be playing up front in in short right for the Thunder, but another change you guys made, because I was intrigued to see your defense specifically this year, coming into the Chicago tournament, because you guys attempted to put Zach at short last year, and he got hurt early in the Indy Invitational. So we really didn't, you guys, the fans, nobody really got to see how that was going to work out. So, you guys stuck with it and went with that. But another change you guys made to your defense is little Ricky up at short right field. And he had an incredible tournament in Chicago not too long ago.
Yeah, definitely. He's the most improved Jet for sure, man. This dude is he's gonna be, he's gonna end up at the shortstop position. You know what I mean? He's gonna end up on the strong side.
Path.
It's just a matter of time. So he got a little bit of work in it, but he's a grown man, he's 21 now. He's he can run.
Just turned 21. Happy birthday.
Just turned 21. Yeah, happy birthday, little meat. So he can he's getting to where he can pop the ball to the outfield. He's not to the point where he's going to hit it by the outfield, but he's fast enough to where if he can get some air under it, he's still going to, he hit 600 in Chicago to go along with making 25 foot out. So he's got incredible range. He needs to clean it up a little, Neil. He's, I don't know if, at home or listen to streams, you can see it. He gets to the ball and he knocks it down really well, but he's got to work on being a little more clean. He's kind of a spaz, with his hands when he gets to the ball, but he's so young and quick, Neil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, so much of that is he just needs experience to kind of work the jitters out. You know what I mean?
Well said. But he's got all the tools, man. And he loves it. That's the biggest necessity there.
You made me smile calling him Little Meat, because listening to the streams, listening to these games streamed straight from somebody's bench, it's almost like being part of the team, and your team has so much personality, and a lot of the teams do, but you guys and your songs and all the stuff that goes on your sideline, just I don't know, it's a lot of fun to listen to you guys on the sidelines.
Well, we call Ricky Little Meat because we already have a Ricky, right? So we weren't going to call him New Ricky. So we could call him Old Ricky and New Ricky, but everybody's like, let's call him Little Meat. Oh man, it's amazing.
It's good stuff. So I can't let you get out of here without asking about the midnight game, because the midnight game, which is basically on midnight after the banquet, after the whole World Series is over, before everybody gets up early on Sunday with the hangover and heads home. Everybody gathers out in the parking lot somewhere near the hotel, and just throw the ball around, do some hitting or whatever. But that all started with you and the Blackhawks, and am I correct in thinking that all started in '87 in Ithaca?
100%, Neil. Yeah, 100%. So just the genesis of this is how everybody does. So there's a moment of denial after you lose, and then there's some, then you face it, and then you decide you're going to start, making improvements. Well, for Gator, for Charles Bolden, and we all call him Gator.
Gator, yeah.
It happened after the banquet. He says, I think I could improve my power if I hold my hands like this. You know what I mean? So I said, well, let's go into the hallway and try it. So after he got a hit in the hallway, that didn't seem like a very good idea. So we took it to the parking lot, So, we told Wolfie, hey, Wolf, man, we're going to need a catcher for this. Come on, bro. Wolf was half lit. We ended up in the parking lot, and Gator's going yard. He ended up pop. Before you know it, we've got a line, that's half a block long, waiting for people wanting to get a hit, at this thing. And hilarious. Cora came and she had the bat in her hand when security showed up, and half the people scattered. But just it wasn't 10 minutes later, we had the security guard batting. So yeah, man, that was good fun. So that's how it started, man. It's Gator, Charles Bolden, just wanting, it's just kind of how beat ball goes, right? I mean, sometimes you just want that one more at bat. Well, the parking lot's the best place for it. Non-sanctioned by the NBBA, of course, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, too much fun not to do nonetheless.
Two things on that. First, real quick on Gator, I almost talked about this because you brought up the 94 tournament, and a thought I instantly remembered. On the very first day, because that tournament was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the first game was delayed by quite a while because they got hammered with rain. And we were all out at the fields, all the teams getting ready to get set up, but they were going to make some kind of announcement. So we were all basically in one area, and like a car backfired or something like that, and Gator hit the ground. Wasn't Gator, like, didn't he lose his eyesight in Vietnam or something?
So yeah, he's a veteran, and that was the story, man. That was his story, man, as he took some shrapnel from a grenade. So that was the deal. So
but his training kicked in. He heard it, what he thought was a gunshot, man, and
he went
flat.
Yeah, and he heard the pop, and before everybody was turning, and then I turned my shoulder to the right, and it was Gator, just like a blur on the ground with his hands clasped over his head. It's like quickly. Yeah, what an amazing hitter he was.
I remember Gator well, but so the midnight game, I got to correct you a little bit, because that very first one in Ithaca wasn't in a parking lot. Remember, we all stayed at Ithaca College, like in the dorms.
Yeah.
It was just
it was
just down in between two of the dorms, basically, like in the little, I don't know, quad area or whatever. But
yes, sir.
I was up on a second floor with Ron Yee. You might remember Yee Man, the pitcher for the Nemesis.
Man, and I remember Presley.
Yep, they ruined me as Presley, dude. I was 19 years old, had never been away from home without like family and stuff, and I'm with Ron Presley. He walks into the room. I'm in there by myself. I don't know anybody. He's like almost 40. He's half drunk. He walks in. He's like, "Who's that for you?" Just starts riding me. I don't care how young you are. I'm still fast. I'll hit further than you. He was a wild character. But so I'm with Yee Man up on the second floor on a balcony when you guys came out and started that up. And Yee Man started edging me, man. He's like, "Dude, rookie," because they all called me rookie. And they're like, "He's rookie, get down there." And he forced me to go down there. And I wasn't down there on the side for like 5 seconds, and you came and grabbed my shirt. You're like, "Get up there." So I don't know that I was the first non-Blackhawk to ever hit in the midnight game, but I was one of the first, if not the first, because you guys had just gone down there. You'd only been down there for like 10-15 minutes, and Yee Man's like, "Rookie, man, go down there, go have some fun." And I finally went down there, and I just barely got out the door, and you're like, "Get out there." You grabbed me, threw me at the plate. First pitch, ready, pitch, boom. Guy was out of there. I didn't get to have too much fun. You hit my bat right away.
Good times. Yeah, that's right. We had like a 4-year. Yeah, right. Was it you? The first pitch, the first 4 years. Right?
Yeah. That's funny you bring that up. We did
I remember that.
That's funny because we did a tribute episode to Doc Bradley, and Ronnie Bruns came on, and Ronnie Bruns brought that up. He's like, you know what I remember about you, Neil? He's like, in like 1991, they were standing on the sideline waiting to get up and hit in the midnight game, and you went up, and you hit, and you came off, and you're like, damn, it's 4 years in a row. I only get one pitch. Every year, hit me on the first pitch, man.
I remember that.
Well, dude, I don't even really know what to say. There's not there's I don't think any words to really put into perspective what you've done with the sport. But you've been dedicated on off the field. You've just been a great person as part of a sport that I love deeply. And I'll throw out there, thank you for your contribution to this sport. And it's been a pleasure watching your career.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I don't know if I've really done anything other than play it, but
yeah, but you did it with, I mean, you did it with dedication or whatever. You know what I said earlier, I wasn't trying to say that like the sighted pitchers and spotters don't love the game as much as the players, but it's not as an automatic thing. Like not they love the game. I mean, they wouldn't be giving up vacation time and spending time and money if they didn't like or love the game. But not all of them are like have the competitive like part of it. You know what I mean? They just want to help us kind of get through the tournament sometimes.
Yeah.
I guess, and I'm not taking any, you know, whatever floats everybody's boat. But you're one of the sighted people that got involved and just wanted to win. You know what I mean? And as a player, I wanted to be. We want to be around people like that. We want to win. You know.
Awesome, man. Yep. And I think, I think
it.
that's part of the reason why my teams have had success. I think they know that I love it, and I think the people that want to be on teams where people love beat ball, it kind of attracts each other to it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So it's been good.
Well, congratulations on a great long run. I know you've mentioned that you're still going to be involved in different ways, like doing some of the championship games if they invite you, whatever. That you'll still be there for the sport. So I'm glad for everybody you're still going to be popping around. But I hope everybody that's out there enjoys this final run.
Yeah, thanks, Neil.
And good luck to you guys, man, because you guys have a great team. It's going to be a lot of fun watching you guys.
Thanks, man. Yeah, looking forward to it.
You bet. All right, everybody, that is it until after the World Series. For all of you participating, have safe trips out there. Have a great time while you're there, especially after this 2-year break. I'm so happy everybody gets to go back and play. Everybody have a safe trip out there. Have a safe tournament. Good luck, and everybody be well. We'll see you after the tournament. Thank you, and good night, Aunt Cindy.